Professor at Kutztown University in the state of Pennsylvania says the biggest thing to blame for the spate of mass shootings we've seen recently is something called toxic masculinity. Colleen Clemens teaches women's and gender studies, needless to say, and shortly after the Sutherland Springs shootings tweeted this, quote, "Toxic masculinity is killing everyone. Repeat, toxic masculinity is killing everyone. Repeat, toxic masculinity is killing everyone. Repeat." We could go on, but there are only a certain number of characters allowed in a tweet. Kathy Aru is the founding publisher of Catalina Magazine. She joins us tonight. So, Kathy, we asked the professor to come on. She sent us a very long and actually very nice email saying that she feared for her safety and couldn't come on. Oh. You were brave enough to do so. Tell us, if you would, if you know the answer, what is toxic masculinity? How do you catch it? What's the cure?
Well, according to the professor's article, toxic masculinity is the man's fear that he's losing his power. And because minorities and women are taking higher positions and they have more power, that white men and men in general are afraid that they're going to lose their strength and their virility, and therefore they are causing the mass shootings and lashing out.
Well, so it's kind of both ways. So what you have is a situation where the entire kind of fashionable culture in America attacks one group relentlessly. And then if they don't like it, that's a problem too. And then if there's a shooting committed by someone who looks that way, that's the result of them. I mean, this is kind of a nonsense theory, isn't it? Maybe the guy committed a mass shooting because he was crazy or he had some kind of other animus. Does it have to be because of his gender?
Yes. I mean, if you look at it, yes, men are more violent than women. Of the mass shootings we've had in the last 25 years, 88 have been by men, 2 have been by women. So we definitely have a problem with men in this country. Men are committing the murders.
Okay, well that is true. Of course, men commit the overwhelming majority of violent crimes. But I thought men and women were exactly the same. I mean, I'm kind of losing track of my feminist orthodoxies here, and I think some of them may be on a collision course about to hit each other. So men and women are exactly the same. You can transition from one to the other by snapping your fingers, and everyone has to believe that that's real. But they're totally different, which is true.
Women are better, unfortunately. We are not the murderers of our society. We are not committing the crimes. We commit less than 20% of the crimes. So
that's
actually,
true.
Men are not as good as women. We are actually better. We're safer.
But what about men who transition to it? So if a man says, if he's got the terrible case of toxic masculinity,
yes,
he's on his deathbed dying from toxic masculinity,
right? And
he says, "Bam, I'm a woman now." Does it cure him?
Well, I would hope so. He would be the better gender. So I would hope so.
Okay. Does any of this strike you as nuts, or are you actually kind of tracking with this and nodding in agreement?
No, I completely agree. If you look at it, it doesn't matter what race they are, doesn't matter where they're from, doesn't matter what country. Men are committing most of the crimes and most of the murders. There is a problem with men. And no one can quite figure it out. Is it the testosterone? Is it that they feel less empowered? Are the minorities, are the women taking over too much and they are afraid of this? Is
there an upside to masculinity? So let's say a hostile power tries to invade the country and, you know, burn your house and kill the livestock and carry your women off over their shoulder or whatever. That's the point when you'd want to have some toxic masculinity around, right?
Well,
actually, it's funny. I actually have 2 cadets from West Point in my studio right now watching. And I asked them in the commercial break, I hope you guys have a lot of toxic masculinity, because the whole point is to go kill people in order to protect us. That's a good use of toxic masculinity.
Well, right. Her article said that not all men suffer from this. So she did say that in her article, and Ms. Clemens, the professor, said in her article, but the men that do have it are dangerous, and these are the ones committing the crimes. So, yeah, it's wonderful that we have these guys that are protecting our country, these wonderful men and women who are protecting our country. But those who have this toxic masculinity are committing crimes. These mass murders are nonstop.
Is there a measure? Is there some kind of, like, swab or blood test that can tell me if my masculinity is getting to dangerous levels?
No, unfortunately, I think it's too late. I think it's when the mass murders occurred. Yes.
So if there's toxic masculinity, that suggests the polar, right? The toxic femininity. What would that look like?
Well,
and how
sugar and
prevalent
spice
is that?
and everything nice. I mean, that's what it's like to be a girl. But boys will be boys, and that's what we're raising. We're raising boys to think that they should be more powerful and stronger. That's what the professor was saying. Maybe we're just not raising them right. Why are women supposed to be nonviolent?
Okay, but is there such a thing as toxic femininity?
No.
Can you be too you can be way too masculine.
We do no wrong.
But you can't
Women
be
do
too
no
feminine.
wrong. The numbers prove it. The statistics prove it. Women do not do wrong.
That doesn't sound like feminism to me exactly.
What?
That sounds like kind of the 19th century understanding of women.
No, it's just the fact.
You're
women are
confusing me
responsible.
here.
Women are responsible. We're not killing. We're not committing crimes. We're just the smarter gender.
Huh. Let me ask you one last question.
Yeah.
If men are this huge problem and they're like overbearing and they're just too masculine,
yeah.
then why does every measure show that young women are outstripping young men in achievement? They graduate from college in much higher numbers. They get high school too. They make a little more for their first jobs. They kill themselves less. They die less often from drug ODs. Why is that? If men are keeping women down, why are women doing so much better than men in this country?
Well, women are doing so well, and that's what's causing the toxic masculinity. They're not happy about it, and that's why the murders have gone up since 2011. We've had
so I
more
wonder,
mass
has it
shootings.
occurred to you maybe to help instead of browbeating men and like mocking them for being less powerful and saying, well, sure, of course you are. And you've got tenured losers like this woman we are quoting from Kutztown University or whatever it's called saying, you know, men are horrible. Shouldn't women be helping men to be better?
I think women are, but the way they're being raised, maybe it's just too late by the time we get them. We need to raise them right. Boys can't be boys.
You've confused me completely, but I was still happy to talk to you as always.
Isn't this rule, the fat tax, is because it's costing the airlines more?
Darling, it is. It's perfectly practical. It's perfect business sense, which is why you can understand, darling.
Are you not a bit confused that Gemma is agreeing with the business case of the airlines in terms of obesity?
That's greed, and that's just greed.
Okay.
Well, I think you're a perfect example of greed, Sweet Pea, because you weigh 25 stone.
Actually, no, I'll tell you what. I will tell you actually why I am, because I have anxiety issues. I think this is just pure hatred, and there is no room for hatred in this society, I don't think, anymore.
Ultimately, darling, I have no hate. I have no hate. I have no hate.
No, you do. You clearly do.
Listen, darling, I look for the best in everyone. It's just that I so seldom find it.
And you're looking in the wrong places.
I'm looking at you right now. No, there is nothing but love in this studio.
No, and seriously, and you don't. Also, you don't know what people's stories are. Forget about the medical side.
I'm not interested in their stories.
Are.
No, I haven't got time. I haven't got time for your stories. I'm going to look at you. Make a quick assessment.
Because you don't want to hear you don't even want to hear my argument.
No, I don't. I'm just
shut you down.
You're a raging, angry, fat person in a pink jacket.
I can take you down in a fight anytime.
You're going to fight me?
I can take you down.
Okay, let's do it.
But hang on, guys. Let's throw this in.
I don't agree with what you say, so I am going to fight you.
Do you not realise where you're going with this?
How did you get this big?
This is actually to do with a hate crime.
And you're victim of hate crime.
Absolutely.
And
can we call the police?
Would
you like to bring the police in?
There's a telephone right there.
I think we should do it right now.
Go for it. There's a phone.
Great. We'll have my phone and we'll call the police.
Would you like it brought to you? Because it's probably going to be hard to
I just find it
Yeah. It became personally offensive, and I believe it is a hate crime, and I'd like to report it.
Have you made girls cry?
I've made men cry, John, so be afraid. There's plenty of places in the UK that other people will tell you, I can tell you, I would not walk through.
Tell us these vast swathes of our country where we have lost control.
And if you didn't talk so much, I might be able to, darling. I invite your camera crews to come with me and see who tells me to cover up my hair, cover up my face. I mean, I can see that might be an advantage.
So it's more offensive to the British ruling class and British authorities to be anti-Islam than it is to be anti-Britain.
Absolutely. You know, I know the tick list of correct answers that the liberal fascists want me to answer. I know what they'll approve of. I know what they like, and that's endless gushing sympathy for migrants, economic migrants, for the Islamic faith. You saw with the Westminster terror attack here, you know, the very first media that we had off of that was that we had to look out for our Muslim counterparts because they may be kind of under some kind of attacks following the terrorist attack on us. It's always that idea that we need to bow down to the culture that joins us, and we never seem to stand up for the culture they've chosen to join. And it's one of my big questions always is, if Islam is so fantastic, why do Muslims always seem to want to come to Christian countries? And it's a question that I never have got an answer to yet, Tucker.
It's a great question, and an awful lot's at stake, like 1,000 years of history. You take it seriously, and I appreciate that. Katie, thanks for joining us.
And I can't help but wonder why Muslims who come over here escaping the problems they have living under their religion don't leave that religion behind as well. I don't know why it is that we have, when we have done a survey over in the UK about a Muslim religion, Muslims say they don't want to integrate with Western society. They don't really want to integrate. They want to preserve the Muslim tradition, Islamic traditions. I struggle with that, of course, because that's something many of them were escaping, that division. So that's why I don't see why it's in Americans' interest to bring the divisions of Islam, to bring the divided religion that is Islam into the USA.
Do you get upset ever? What makes you angry? Because obviously you provoke a lot of people, but I wonder what makes you angry.
Oh, so many things make me angry. I'm outraged on a daily basis. I'm outraged by child and parent parking spaces. You had a child, you didn't lose the ability to walk. I'm outraged by the fact that we're now going to classify the obese as disabled and require them to do less.
Do you know what my passion is? My passion is...
eating.